there, Janet Fritz here for Galaxy Girl Creations. Welcome to my channel. Welcome to day 10 of 30 Days of Sketches. And our sketch today comes from Lizaveta for Keeping the Best Blog. I've never heard of that, but I think that's awesome. So I started out with these two photos of my cats, and I've already used a 3.5-inch punch to punch the circles out of the cats, and then I am going to stamp this stamp set from Concord and Ninth, and it is called Eclectic Garden Stamp Set. I'm going to stamp the grid one out. There is one that is wood grain as well, but I like the grid one because it makes a great journaling spot. And using the 3.5-inch punch worked really well because it really fits perfectly inside of that doily. And I'm staying pretty close to the sketch on this one. Not exact, but pretty close. And so I am going to have my kitties be at the top and the bottom, and then my journaling off to the right-hand side. I am going to go a little higher than what the sketch calls for, because my top photo is smaller than my bottom photo. And that's just the reverse of the sketch, basically. So I don't have a huge story to tell about this particular layout. I am going to talk about how it's a rare moment to see the other cat, the one that I'm working on right there at the bottom. He is not a cuddly cat. He is basically only under the covers because I was trying to make the bed. I was actually trying to strip the sheets off the bed, and he was laying on it. And so I pulled the blankets back, and he was looking at me like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "I'm trying to get you off the bed, dude." And so he's probably really annoyed in the photo, but he looked kind of cute laying there because he laid there for a little bit like, we're going to have a power struggle here, Mom. But he finally did move. And he's our indoor-outdoor cat, so he does love to curl up on the bed, but he's kind of a loner, whereas the other two that are in the top photo, there are indoor cats, and they snuggle together all the time. So they are much more snuggly with each other than they are with any humans. So that's pretty much all I have to say in my journaling on this particular layout. I would like to say that this layout came together quickly, and while a lot of it did, this whole portion that you're seeing here and getting the photos down and the journaling area came together really quickly. Doing the embellishments did not. So that took me a little bit of time. So I re-stamped that same stamp, and I'm using the Catherine Pooler Twilight because I don't want it to be black. I want it to be just a gray because the paper is kind of a soft color. Which is kind of unusual for me. I don't use soft colors frequently. I use them kind of intermittently. And the reason I am stamping it again is because I decided I wanted a little bit of a bigger journaling area than what I already had. And so I pulled that doily off that was on there, and I started over with a new doily for the journaling area. And I'm much happier with the dimensions of it. So basically, it's basically the reverse of what it was. So you can see there it's much larger. And then I wasn't really sure what to do about anything else after that. So it kind of sat on my desk for a month, literally. And I finally decided, you know what, I'm going to go over to Creative Fabrica, which I don't know why I didn't think to do that earlier, because they have awesome stuff in there. On their site, and I just looked up cat, and I found this little cat die cut that I cut on my silhouette. I just sized it down to be the perfect size, and I printed it, or I didn't print it, I cut it out on my silhouette, and I really like how that looks. So that made me super happy. And you know, there wasn't a whole lot of embellishing necessary after I did that. I think that just like totally made the layout right there. I did opt to do some stitching around each one of those circles. And so that adds to the texture and the dimension and just the look of the entire layout. And that made me happy too. Now, I didn't have any alphas in a small enough font that were black that I had all the letters to. So I took these ones that are sparkly, glitter, kind of a reddish tone to them, and I just used my Sharpie and I went over them in black ink. They still have a little bit of sparkle to them, but they are mostly black, and that kind of fixed those. Now I definitely could have pulled out some dies and cut them, but I had already spent so much time so much time. I spent a whole month with this on my desk, but I wasn't actually working on it all month. But I kind of wanted to keep it simple anyway, so I didn't really want to spend the time to get my dies out and everything for 4 letters. So this worked out. And then I pulled out my piercing tool and my mouse pad that is foam. And so I poked holes all the way around each one of those cat photos and my journaling spot. And I went through it with some black embroidery floss, and I am doing a chain stitch. So I'm only going to show you a couple of stitches here because it's really not the easiest thing to keep holding it up with the camera to do all of the stitching. So that would get old quite easy. So this part did take quite a bit of time, and not the longest amount of time I've ever spent stitching on a layout because it's very simple. It's just around a circle. There wasn't anything fancy going on other than that I chose to do a chain stitch rather than a back stitch. But it definitely worked out. So basically you come up through the hole and then you hold the thread and you go back down through the same hole. And then you come up through the next hole. And you're going to see that here in a second. But you also need to go through the loop that you just made by going up and down a hole, if that makes sense. So you're going to catch it in the center of the loop, pull it tight, and now I'm going to go again back down that same hole. So that's basically all there is to a chain stitch. And you can see there it finished off this layout really nicely. I'm really happy with the way it turned out. I went a little crazy with sequins. In retrospect, I might not have put as many sequins on as I did. I did end up, you're going to see, I removed some of the sequins and scatter them out throughout those little branches in the pattern paper there because I wasn't happy with how many I put on in the beginning. It was just too much. I think it works for a lot of people, but for me, it was a little bit more than I like personally. And that's just all personal preference. Some people do a lot of sequins really well. For me, I guess I'm more minimalist with them than some people. I don't know. Yeah, I do like the way they look. You see me use them on a lot of layouts, but this particular case, I think that was just too much. But I caught it in time because I peeled a bunch of them off without ruining the doilies or anything else. The liquid glue was still wet enough that I could pop them off and just move them around. So I am using my Crystal Katana tool and the Nuvo Deluxe adhesive to place them. And this tool works wonderfully. If you've never tried it, I highly recommend it. I bought mine at Hobby Lobby. You can get them on Amazon. I'm just going to fill out my journaling here and then quickly realize that I need to move some of those sequins around. While I do that, I will remind you that the list of links are down below for everyone else who is playing along today, so go and check them out. I can't wait to see what everyone else has done for this particular layout because, I tried to stay pretty true to the sketch, which I don't always do. I try to for the most part, but it's not something that always happens. Like I said, this one kind of had me stumped for a little while just on how to embellish it. And I found that, going really simple was much better than going with a lot. And like I said, I'm happy with the way that it turned out. So there I am removing those sequins, moving them around throughout the page. I think it looks a lot better just because it just got to be too much. So I might have removed even more if they weren't stuck down too much. But this is what it turned out to be. So I am happy with it. It's another layout done. It's in the book, and I'm happy with another story told. Of course, this isn't a story that's like imperative to my kid's life or anything, but I just think it's an interesting story about these cats. And I think, they will enjoy it down the road also. Not the cats, the kids. Thanks so much for watching. If you have questions or comments, leave those down below. I will get back to you as quickly as I can. If you don't mind hitting the thumbs up button, I would really appreciate it. And if you're not already subscribed, hit that subscribe button and the bell to give you notifications of when I pop up new videos. I will have a new video all month this month, and so look for me tomorrow. Bye-bye.